They do a good job.
Put your smile on.
Oh, is it?
I have that here. Let me start this, and we're just going to start this. Are you folks in the audience ready to start this meeting? I don't want to interrupt. Please stand and read or do a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If Nancy would be so good as to give us a roll call, please.
Rath,
Here.
Stubbleby, Boggs,
Present.
Fleming,
Here.
Rose,
Here.
Cruzen. Here. Thank you.
I'd like to nominate Alderman and David Rose to sit in the mayor's seat.
Temporary chairman?
Yeah, temporary chairman, yes.
Okay. Anybody want a second?
Second.
Who?
Whoever.
Nathan, sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Rose, if you would be so well to attend. And the way the new mayor takes the city council meetings now. The floor is yours, sir.
I'll do my best. And the minutes, if you guys have all had a chance to look at the minutes, I would actually take a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
it is approved by Chuck
So,
and seconded by,
Yep.
Got
Got
it.
it.
Jimmy?
Thank you.
And you'll take a roll call vote.
okay. Roll call vote, please.
Rath,
yes.
Boggs,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Cruzen. Yeah. Thank you.
Moving on to correspondence, none listed. Is that correct, Ron?
I have no communications at all.
Okay. Now we open it up for general comments. First stage.
Probably 7 years ago or so, I painted all the park signs, and I noticed they're getting all blistered again, and there's a handful of them that have bought it. So I'm more than happy to volunteer my painting services again, if we can get those, fixed in the near, 6 months to whatever, be more than happy to. Chief Powell did, how many did he do? Two. He did 2 of them for us. So I just noticed that there's probably 3 or 4 that are completely rotted in. So,
Okay.
anyway, so I just want to put that out there and get them made. I'd be more than happy to paint again.
Thank you very much.
We've got them slated for like a winter project. Didn't want to take them out in the middle of the
No, it's fine.
season. So I think this late fall, we'll be putting them down and making new ones. I'll contact you.
Yep, all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other general comments for this evening? Moving on to Public Works. Dave?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll be brief. Like I said, the highlights here, and if anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer them. We're still working on the sewer line project for the South Main Street project. We're working on our steps on that, so that's ongoing. Street project for this year, West Vernon, East Central, North Cedar, portions of them. Bid opening for that will be August 31st at 10 o'clock. from the previous bid openings that have been happening doesn't look real promising. Things have been coming in 20 to 60% over the engineering estimate. So we'll see what happens. Keep our fingers crossed. Walking path from Jacobs to the school. It has been crack sealed and seal coated. It looks very nice. New water main on Northwest Street is just about done. They still have to do the testing on it, the taps, and set fire hydrants. Fire hydrants are gonna come in probably 6 months from now, but they will get the taps and tested and people hooked onto it prior to that. There was a mishap in who was supposed to order the fire hydrants. And currently, we are interviewing for 2 public works positions. Any questions? Thank you.
I didn't get a chance to just mention how nice the concessions in the area up there looks. It really does look. I don't know if you mentioned this meeting or not, but appreciate the work you guys did on that.
Thank you. We've got a little bit more to go.
So I need a
Make a motion to approve the public works report.
thank you. Motion by Joe,
Second that.
second by Chuck. Roll call vote on that?
Please.
We have a roll call vote on that, please?
Boggs,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Cruzen. Yes. Rex.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to the TIF report.
I'm gonna give it to you. The beginning balance is $930,958.61. We had interest of $358.35, and our quarterly fees for TIFs was $6,674.75. So the ending balance is $924,642.21.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the TIF report?
So moved.
Moved by Chuck and seconded by Joey. All in favor? Opposed? Moving on to old business. Report of the sale of surplus city property.
On your desks is a list of all the vehicles and the equipment that we had listed for a bid opening that was on the 12th at 1 p.m. Obviously, we had no bids on more equipment than what we got. All the older vehicles all sold. There was no bid on the 2013 Utility Explorer. And we had put a minimum bid on that vehicle of $8,000 because it books out a little over $12,000. So I made a phone call this afternoon to Davis down in Canton to see if they would consign to put it on their lot or try to present the 8,000 bid. And Terry took it to both of the managers at both the GMC and the Ford, and they were going to pass. I said I'd even come down and let you look at it. The killer on it was the 119,000 that's on it. So I don't know what direction you want to go. There are dealers out there that advertise that they're buying vehicles, but obviously Terry Agnoletti told me by then he looked it up. You know, it was a little over 12,000. He said, if we were going to do it, we're looking at purchasing it for like 6,000 instead of 8. But let me check with his manager, and then the manager called back and said, well, the console and the side of it has been cut out, and it was a police car. And
Is there, I think the sergeant spec had made mention that there's some place that he deals with that sells nothing but squad cars. I wonder if we could have him check into that.
can, but I'm afraid our 8,000 minimum bid is
Almost definitely.
probably a little bit high.
We just need to see what they would be willing to
Have a realistic idea.
try to sell one for. Maybe they'd be interested in that.
That's how we get rid of our fire equipment, similar type of sites.
Specialty
And if we
stuff.
have to go down to $6,000, I'm in favor of that. We just need to get rid of it.
It needs to be gone. Okay. I just want to know what direction you folks wanted to go. The balance of the equipment, each of the department heads has approval to dispose of the balance of the material. Thank you, Mr. Ewing.
No problem.
Thank you.
That's all I've got for them.
Thank you, Al. Moving on to the discussion of possible lighting ordinance.
We have been looking and talking for several weeks, and I think I'm going to give the floor to Bill Connor. He kind of took all the information we've been looking at and items that we would like to see, and he consolidated it into a possible ordinance, if that's the direction you folks want to go. And that's what I put.
In your packets, it's a red line from where we were last time I handed one out. I had a couple of questions, and I thought we might have a member of the PD here tonight to answer some. I know they've been doing some experimentation with the light meter. One question I have is, will it, maybe somebody knows this, will it capture or record the date and the reading or anything like that that we could use in court? Or is it just gonna be taking the officer's word for it in court, and they're not gonna, there may be a hearsay objection or something as to what the light meter said? on that
It
date?
will
They can choose with the
hold it,
cell
but
phone.
I don't know how long. And I don't think there's a date or a time.
But we could possibly take a photograph
Yes, right, yeah, phone or something.
and use that as evidence.
Yeah.
We could- Yeah, yeah. That's a good question. And then, Officer Steck was telling me that they felt like the ideal level at which to take the measurement is 3 feet off the ground. Makes sense. I don't know exactly why they decided that, but what if you've got a fence or a wall 3 feet off the ground without an administrative search warrant allowing you to go on to the lighting person's property? How do you take that? Does it mess it up? Do you go higher? I assume it does, depending where the light source is. So I'm not sure how we draft for that, but that's one question I have. Is because there's a fence or a wall there, or even a good-sized berm or something. And so I changed it to say 3 feet or higher, but that may mess up our reading. So that's.
From
we'll
the
get that nailed down.
folks that do the reading and the diagrams that I've been able to, they've always done it at ground.
He seemed pretty adamant the other night about the 3 feet thing. I don't know why.
I'm just, all I'm doing is relaying what I've researched.
Right, and I saw
that's
most of
fine.
them at like 1 foot or
Mhm.
ground. So one thing he had mentioned is that he'd seen a couple of ordinances that took a measurement 3 feet off the ground. But that was one thing I was gonna ask him tonight, if he had been in, but I'll
Maybe we should just hold off on this one.
I wonder if we should just table this.
Table it for now.
hand up in the back there.
I do have one question about this. So I went back and looked at all the meetings we did of all the businesses and their foot candles, and they were all below 3. So in my mind, what would constitute 3 foot candles if we don't even have one of those in town? What would make that much lighting?
We want to prevent any lighting more.
Right, but if all the lighting is already under that, it seems, and like I said, there are still left questions to be answered, but it seems that the 3 foot candles is it's a pretty safe number. So that at least everyone in town is already under that.
That's an excellent point, and a good question.
So the consensus of the group to maybe table this until we actually get an officer on site, we can have a better conversation. Oh, I have a question in the back.
Does this include Christmas lights? Because I have, like, if they're blinking, does that mean you can't have blinking Christmas lights that blink longer than 20 minutes?
And if you unplug them and then plug them back in.
Would they do that, right?
I don't know.
I don't think they would have enough illumination that it's gonna be a
Yes, I
problem.
think maybe like on the top of the foot candles, like for instance, with the community kind of closures, like, and it was like 2.37 foot candles, so I can't see anything
Christmas lights would
being,
come close to that.
no.
And some of the residential agents here was 0.3 foot. Can't.
So Nancy, are you good in your minutes on what the idea is to bring it back at a future meeting? We can have an officer present to answer some of these
Yes.
questions.
Does anybody folks out there have got any questions? Or maybe some things you might like to see? This is a tough ordinance to try to come up with.
Well, Marty Lozier had issues with it the last time we tried to do anything.
Correct, but he's underneath that 3 candle.
He is, okay, so, good.
There were some ordinances that had exemption for holiday lights, but didn't specify what holiday. And you can kind of see that getting abused.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, I get to put up a searchlight and, because it's, Groundhog Day, and that's a big holiday in my family, and I don't want the groundhog to not see a shadow, you can just hear that, right?
It says in here that decorative seasonal lighting shall be limited to a power rating of less than or equal to 75 watts. Now, that's as off of one of the other communities' exceptions. So I'm sure that 100 amp multicolored is not 75 watts.
Okay, we'll move that on. Thanks for all the discussion. Moving on to new business. First off is a report on the East Street Market event.
Because there hasn't been a lot of information out unless you're on Facebook, which I'm not, and I didn't know this was even going on until I was asked to close Northeast Street. That's going to be this Saturday, the 20th, from 9 to 3 It is in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce. And they're gonna have live music, local makers, food trucks, and mobile boutiques. And Northeast Street will be closed from Fort Street up to the north side of Spoon River Home Health Services. But they have more vendors coming and they don't know for sure how many. So they may continue to move the street closing towards Fulton till they get everybody in. So I hand delivered all of these to the residents on Northeast Street so they know they're not stuck in their driveway. But I'm going to have a conversation. There needs to be some more communication between anybody that is wanting to have an event that we need to have. One, we have to have by the city council to close the street. So it has to come to the city council. But I'll get that corrected where this doesn't happen again. But I want everybody to know that there's a East Street Market, Saturday, August 20th, 9 to 3.
Is this gonna be a yearly event, you know? Did they say? Nope.
I don't, I had one of the girls printed that off Facebook, and that's how, I can't even catch her because she's only there on Friday and Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, for that information.
Not a problem.
Moving on the agenda, we have the first reading of the possible action ordinance 2022-18, TIF agreement with the Moose Lodge 1571.
This was a program that was recommended by the Community and Economic Development Commission at a previous council meeting, and the council obviously approved for it, but we have to have this ordinance passed.
I'd like to make a recommendation that we read ordinance number 2022-18, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of executive development agreements by and between the city of Farmington, Fulton County, Illinois, and the Royal Order of the Moose Farmington on 1571. By time meeting.
Second that motion.
We have a motion on the floor.
Then just we'll pause that.
Can we get a roll call, please, for that?
Fox,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Cruzen, Rask.
Yes.
Thank you.
So
We need to waive a motion for a second reading.
I'd like to make a motion that we, do you have to do the first one?
He needs to read the title into the
Correct.
record. Yeah.
Yes.
For the city of Farmington, ordinance number 2022-18 is an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a TIF redevelopment agreement by and between the city of Farmington, Fulton County, Illinois, and the Royal Order of Moose, Farmington Lodge 1571. That's your first reading, ordinance number 2022-18.
I'd like to make the motion that we waive the second reading of ordinance 2022-18. Second.
motion by Joey, seconded by Rask. Can we get a roll call, please?
Fox,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Cruzen,
Yes.
Rask.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd
Fantastic.
like to make a recommendation that we adopt ordinance number 2022-18.
Second.
We have a motion
And second.
that we adopt motion 2022-18.
Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Thank you. Boggs,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Cruzen,
Yes.
Trask.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we read ordinance number 2022-19 by title only.
Second that.
We have a motion on the floor to read 2022-19 by title only. Roll call, please.
Boggs,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Cruzen,
Yes.
Trask.
Yes.
Thank you.
For the city of Farmington, Illinois, ordinance number 2022-19 is an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a TIF redevelopment agreement by and between the city of Farmington, Fulton County, Illinois, and Kramer Road Developers LLC. This was again brought from the CEDC to the city council.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the second reading of ordinance number 2022-19.
Seconded by Chuck. Have a motion on the floor. We get a roll call, please.
Boggs,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Cruzen,
Yes.
Trask.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 2022-19.
Second that.
Motion on the floor. We adopt ordinance 2022-19. Roll call, please.
Boggs,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Cruzen,
Yes.
Trask.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on. For the first reading and possible action of 2022-20 TIF agreement between Oakville with Oakville Farm.
I'd like to make a motion that we read ordinance number 2022-20 by title only.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor. Let me read by title only. Roll call, please.
Boggs,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Cruzen,
Yes.
Trask.
Yes.
Thank you.
For the city of Farmington, Illinois, ordinance number 2022-20 is an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a TIF redevelopment agreement by and between the city of Farmington, Fulton County, Illinois, and Catherine M. Oldfield. And again, this was a program that was brought by the CEDC and was passed by the then city council back in 20,
Wow.
and it didn't get processed through the program. And they called 4 weeks ago, wanting to know why they had never been reimbursed. And it took me a while to, that's why we have an ordinance.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the second reading of ordinance number 2022-20.
Seconded by,
Second.
have a motion on the floor. Roll call, please.
Boggs,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Cruzen,
Yes.
Trask.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 2022-20.
Second that.
Motion on the floor to adopt ordinance 2022-20. Roll call, please.
Boggs,
Yes.
Fleming,
Yes.
Trask.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Oh, no, one. Rose,
Yes.
Cruzen,
Yes.
Trask.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now we got to our favorite part here.
That is everything I have, except for
Have that.
the pro tem to sign and read it and send it, sign it.
Declaration of legal state of emergency. The whole thing? Okay.
It's your floor, sir.
Pursuant to the authority vested in the office of the mayor by the Illinois Municipal Code, section 511-1-6, The Illinois Emergency Management Agency Act, Section 3305-11, and Ordinance 2020-06 of the City of Farmington, I, Ken Stuffelbeam, Mayor of the City of Farmington, do hereby declare the local state of emergency exists as of this date, July 15th, 2022, and shall continue until such time as provided in Ordinance 2020-6. The nature of the emergency is a nationwide pandemic of the COVID-19 virus. During the existence of the local state of emergency, the mayor shall execute such authority as provided under the Illinois Municipal Code, the Illinois Emergency Management Agency Act, and Ordinance 2020-06. The declaration of this local state of emergency shall be filed with the city clerk as soon as practicable. I, David Rose, Mayor Pro Tem, whose name is signed to this instrument, being first duly sworn, signed, and executed the instrument of declaration of local state of emergency, and I signed willingly, and I extended it was my free will and voluntary act for the purposes therein expressed. Good? Okay. Thank
You
you.
have to sign
I have to sign it.
it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So moving on to committee reports. On finance, I have nothing to report. Public safety,
Nothing to report, sir.
thank you. Sewer, Mr. Stuffing's not here. Streets and sidewalks, Mr.
Nothing to
Funk,
report.
thank you. Parks and recreation,
And I'd just like to thank Leslie for coming in and volunteering to paint the signs because they were looking pretty ragged. For Dave, now that baseball, softball is done, I don't know what done codes are about volunteering to paint. I will do one more check-in, but if that is something that is no longer on the table, is that something that the city can take care of?
We had planned on priming and painting everything that we fixed. We're not done, with Perry, part of the wood on the pavilion off deciding to put it on. We haven't done.
Okay, wonderful. And it does
We'll
look
get
great.
primed and we'll get painted before that. weather gets here.
Wonderful, thank you.
thank you. And public grounds and maintenance,
Nothing to report, sir.
thank you. This is the second time that we have an opportunity for general comments. Do we have any we'd like to bring up?
Motion to adjourn, sir.
I have a motion on the floor to adjourn. Oh, hold on, got one.
My name's Chad Singh. I'm actually going to run for mayor here in the next coming election. Just thought I'd let everybody know. I'm trying to get the word out. As soon as September happens, I'll be getting signatures, so, do I have to, I guess I have a question, do I have to actually get a permit to go around and ask for that, or is that just inherently NBC? Is that okay? So-
You're good.
Okay.
I will get you, as soon as I get it from the Fulton County clerk, I will see that you get the paperwork you need.
That's, I figured it was like September, so, yeah, thought I'd at least get the word out. I'll just be here, probably every single city council meeting for now, just to at least get to know how everything's going on. But, if anything, just get out and vote anyway, it's just, it is in April, so, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Sure.
I have a motion on the floor for adjournment, and I had a second.
Yes.
Second, so adjourn. That's a banging gavel. You get the banging gavel.
You did it well.
Thank you. That's too loud.
Thank you, gambling. Yeah, thank you.